Last week, my business did $50,000 in revenue, and I was only able to reach that point when money became worthless in my mind. In this video, I'm going to show you the psychological trap that's keeping you broke, how your childhood experiences are secretly running your bank account, and exactly how I fixed this within myself. And in order to understand this, you need to first ask yourself a question. Why do I actually want to make money? You see, when you ask this question, a few different answers that they seem meaningless at first. Maybe it's a certain car that you want or a lifestyle, but when you think about it, these answers aren't actually real. They're not the things that are actually pushing you or that did push you to want to pursue financial success. You have to dig deeper. So you have to ask yourself, okay, what do I actually want rather than this car or this lifestyle? You might want to get out of your job. You might hate your job, or you want to get out of poverty. But even this is just a shallow surface level answer. There are three core drives that are actually motivating you: survival, status, and romance. But even these things have underlying causes. And when you look even deeper and try to figure out what actually motivates me, what sparked the drive that I have, it's usually some sort of childhood trauma or pain or experience. Now, look, I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, your trauma and you got to worry about your trauma. That's not what this video is. But understanding this really helped me a lot. You have to realize that you had some experience that eventually snowballed into the motivation of you wanting to make money. And when I figured this out, it changed my life. So let me take you back 10 years. I'm in high school. There's a football game going on. I'm right next to the football game with my face covered in blood and dirt. Now, what happened was I had just gotten into a fight with somebody. And you might think, okay, what happened? How did I get into this fight? What did the other guy do? Et cetera, et cetera. Actually, he did nothing. And I didn't do anything. We literally just fought for fun. And what happened was I was supposed to fight some other guy at the game. He didn't show up. So this guy volunteered. We had a little brawl and we both came out, pretty good, not too bad, washed up in this little puddle of water because it had just rained. And that's it. Now, like, if you think about it, what actual reason did I have to do that? Did I really just do it for fun, getting beat up, right? Getting injured? Now, years later, I started reflecting, like, why did I actually do that? Because I was explaining the story to my brother, who's in high school now. When I started describing it, he was like, okay, why did you get into a fight? And I didn't have an answer. It's kind of like just for fun. And he was like, for fun? What? The only reason I actually got into that fight is for attention. Why else would you just start throwing hands with somebody, getting blood all over your face? It's to get attention from other people. It's for other people to care. Oh, look, you got into a fight. You see everybody around you with the camera screaming, oh, look. It was really just a way to seek some sort of status with people, right? Now, I'm not saying that this desire is strong. It's not like I was thinking right there, okay, I'm going to be cool and I'm going to get into a fight. This is all subconscious. And so fast forward to 2020, I had gone through a period of extreme isolation. I isolated myself from all of my friends, anybody that I used to talk to. It was COVID at that time. And I would sit down in my room and meditate for hours on end, just trying to be more mindful. It was very lonely. It was a period of solitude, and I was inspired to do that just because I saw how negatively my circle was influencing me. But even then, I still would post things on social media because eventually after 2020, it turned into just me looking to make money. When I thought back, it was actually just me getting bullied in school, me not getting the attention, the companionship that I craved at a young age. And looking back then, what that manifested into was me engaging in bad habits and activities that aren't necessarily good for me, but because everybody else is doing it, you end up doing it as well, right? So ask yourself, what is this drive that you have? What really drove you? For a lot of people, it's either some sort of breakup, some sort of romantic heartbreak, or the same thing, they got bullied in school, or they didn't get enough attention from their parents, or validation, traumatic events that occur, some sort of huge financial difficulty that gives you that motivation, and it's based on survival, right? And making sure that you never go broke again. And the reason I'm telling you to think about this and to figure it out, what is it in yourself that drove you to want to become a better man, to want to make money, to want to start a business, whatever it may be, is because if you don't identify it, it will destroy your dream. It'll destroy your ability to actually hit your goal. Even if you do hit your goal, it'll result in self-sabotage that will make it extremely hard to actually attain what you want. As much as we think that we're motivated by goals and by positive things, it really is pain that you're motivated by. So I'll give you an example. The motivation of a lot of men, they're trying to make money. Why are they trying to make money? To have the lifestyle, to have the car, to have the nice watch, the purchases, etc., etc. But the thing is, you're going to be looking for ways to cheat the game. Why? Because especially in a game like status or in a game like attaining status for romance, let's be real. You don't actually have to achieve the things internally. You just have to show off. That's actually what you're looking for because that's what you're motivated by. It doesn't really matter if you're the person that's disciplined, that's hardworking. What actually matters is, do people see you that way? What happens for a lot of people, what do? One, they start spending money like an idiot. Two, they just fake it. They waste a lot of time on curating their image, whether it's social media or figuring out how to look successful rather than actually being successful. And what happens with a lot of these people is slowly you almost fall into a delusion because since you're so focused on the status game, on how you're perceived, you put a lot less focus on if you're actually being that person. You begin to believe the delusion of the image you are. And guess what? When you start portraying that image, what happens? Everybody's going to be impressed with you. Everybody's going to be proud of you. And even if you don't portray an image per se, for example, when I was younger, when I was 18, I was going to seminars and events and I was making moves that a lot of people my age weren't making. They were just being lazy, having fun, getting into college, partying, things like this. And I was extremely focused on making money. And what happened was a lot of people started complimenting me. I started getting praise from everywhere. That got to my head and I started to believe it when in reality, I hadn't achieved anything. I hadn't attained anything and I barely learned the reality of making money and the reality of business, which is a reality that you'll learn sooner or later. It's extremely difficult. It's extremely painful. It takes a while, okay? And it takes you leveling up so much, you become a different person that's extremely disciplined. But I wasn't all of that yet. All I had at that point was the mindset. All I had was, yes, this is what I want to be. And this is how I'm thinking. And yes, I'm making sacrifices from short-term desires, but that's it. I started right here. I was maybe right here and I needed to be way over here. And so what happened when I started getting this praise and I was able to portray a little bit of a lifestyle, give the illusion or give the idea that I was making moves and all this stuff, what happened? And that's the nature of this. I hit a plateau. Why? Because I had satisfied the desire for status. I was already impressing everybody else. But what happened quickly after? I went downhill because that's always what happens after a plateau. I realized that I hadn't actually achieved anything. I also put myself in a very, very subpar financial situation. I could go into the endless reasons that if you don't identify and destroy that core desire, if you don't pinpoint it, and if you don't realize the shortcuts you're taking to fulfilling it, because that's the real problem. You have this shallow desire behind all of your goals. You're always going to look for shortcuts, and the shortcuts will always end to ruin in a long way. And there's many, many things that you could identify. For example, a lot of guys, without the proper motivations, without the proper analysis of their own intentions, they get into immoral business models. And you see this with most people online, especially. They'll lie to make money, or they'll get into immoral business models like OnlyFans management and things like this. And so this is why it's so important. Not only will you inevitably fail in some way, something's going to blow up, something's going to go wrong horribly, or you're going to slip and lose all your morals in this process of making money. So what do you actually do about this? How do you fix this? How did I fix this? Well, the first thing I realized is that money is just a tool. Because you're satisfying these other desires, what are you going to do? You're going to end up making short-term business decisions, which ultimately end up in long-term business failure, right? So that's the first thing, delaying money to long-term, realizing that to build something real, to build something valuable, you need to be able to say no to yourself. The most important thing that I did when I realized how all these motivations and drives influenced me, I constantly self-reflected to ask myself, what delusion am I in? And I think a lot of people are in this delusion. They put other people down to feel better about themselves. That's delusion, right? So how do you fix all of this? What's the actual solution? What did I do? It's very simple. I correlated all success in my life to what I was doing in that moment and constantly reminded myself that the only success that I'll ever have in life that's real, that's genuine, that actually results in long-term happiness and fulfillment. And this is what I found to be true. If I am doing the hard work in the moment, nothing else mattered. Am I actually being disciplined in the moment? I started saying no to myself anytime my intentions were questionable. And this is the first step, constantly questioning your intentions. Ask yourself, why am I actually doing this? For any reason other than for the sake of Allah. This is the only thing that matters, at least to me. Doing things for the sake of God. And if you are conscious and constantly question your intention, then what's going to happen is you're going to always be able to return your intention back into that most important thing, which is God consciousness, taqwa, and discipline, and doing the hard work in every moment. And then the money becomes dead to you. Any material success doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't even fulfill you. Even when you do make it, you'll make the money, you'll have some good thing happen with your business, you'll You'll get the clout. You'll have people impressed with you. And then it doesn't fill in that hole in your heart. It doesn't make you feel any better. It doesn't do anything for you. But then the harsh realities of life hit you, you become unhappy. And then the money, the success, the fame, the attention, the praise, none of it matters. You lose all motivation. In fact, you become even more depressed because now you're like, now I got some sort of success or what I wanted, whatever, but it didn't fulfill me. And by the way, you know that most people, when they pursue anything, they have periods of success and then stagnation, success and then stagnation. And it's like you're going through these peaks and valleys. And when you win, okay, you win, you're happy, and then it's followed quickly by a downturn. You become disciplined, you become motivated, you become locked in, and then things get bad. And then it happens again. You become motivated, you become disciplined, and then after getting high on it for a little bit, things go down. See, for me, my standards are, am I doing the work in any moment? That's all I ask myself. That's all I measure my life by. And because that is my only standard, and it's not something like money or like material success or praise from other people, I never have these ups and downs. These ups and downs, they only end up occurring because you achieve the $50,000, $100,000, $1 million in your bank account, and then you get comfortable. Then you get, okay, this is what I aimed for. Why else do the hard work? But then you have a downturn. You lose the money, you lose some praise, whatever it may be. You start engaging in bad habits. Then you feel bad. Now, when you're in pain at the bottom, that's when you motivate yourself. And so you find yourself going up and down through these cycles. There's no comfort. You never get too excited. You just think, yep, okay, I make some money. This is going to come and go. I'm getting fame or people like me. This is going to come and go. Yes, I'm in a good relationship. These things come and go. You begin to deprogram yourself from all the alternate motivations, all the alternate drives that control everybody. And funny enough, I actually learned this concept in business. I started to self-reflect on this. Why? Because in business, one of the primary things that you do in marketing is leveraging these unconscious motivations, these unconscious pains, because that's how you get them to purchase things. And so I'm going to leave you with one last tactic that has helped me a lot, that I call pain association. Now, the reason that people are driven by shallow things like material success or status or romance or survival, fundamentally, all of these shallow motivations that people have, they stem from pain, right? One of the most powerful tactics you can do is just start associating with your pain everything that you know now is bad for you. Like when I think about doing something that gets other people's attention, I just associate all my pain, any pain at all. One thing I've always done is that when I achieve a period of success, it could be anything. It could be money being made. It could be happiness with my personal relationships. It doesn't matter what it is. I always stop the excitement, the comfortability, especially when it comes to making money. I immediately associate the pain with that comfort because I think I'm going to get worse. I'm going to get less disciplined because of the enjoyment, the satisfaction that I'm feeling. So yes, I teach myself not to feel satisfaction. And guess what? That makes me more fulfilled at the end of the day, every single time. I don't need these spikes of satisfaction and, oh, bro, look, we're going to Mykonos. I made a lot of money. It doesn't matter. I know it's not going to make me happy. I know if I get too excited, if I get comfortable, then it's going to result in pain. And so one of the key traits with this is just humility, knowing that in reality, none of it matters. It doesn't matter. The status doesn't matter. The praise doesn't matter. What? Why? Because even if you're an idiot, people are still going to praise you. Even if you're arrogant, even if you're an immoral person, the people of this world, they will still praise you. They'll be impressed by you and they'll compliment you, even if you're doing evil. And so in reality, their praise is worthless. It's garbage. And the only thing that matters at the end of the day is, how does God see me? It doesn't matter what religion you are. Because if you ask yourself, one, you're always going to be humbled. Two, you're going to reflect on the things that actually matter. Not the material, not the money, not what people are impressed by. Why? Because they don't see the real you. They don't see the you behind closed doors when you make mistakes, when you have faults and deficiencies. But God does. And you're able to humble yourself in front of him. He sees every single thing that you do, good, bad, and there's a lot of bad. And there's a lot of reasons that we're humble, but because we're so concerned with what other people think, and we don't self-reflect on what actually matters to God. And that's what I constantly think about. And let me just clarify real quick, how do you program yourself to start thinking like this and start being more aware and conscious? It's very simple. How do you plant a physical habit in your life? Well, you repeat it again and again and again and again until it sticks. And it's the exact same thing with a mental habit. You have to constantly remind yourself, and most importantly, feel as you remind yourself, feel the pain or feel the satisfaction of fighting your lower self to do the right thing in every moment. And the more you repeat this, the more it ingrains in your brain. And by no means, I want to be very clear, I'm not perfect when it comes to this. I'm not going to pretend that I've mastered my motivations and I'm fully aware of everything. No, it's the opposite, bro. But it has benefited me tremendously, and I'm a lot more conscious of things. And this is ironic considering this is a business channel, but it's just a tool. It's just a vehicle for progression. That's why we actually pursue business. I get better every single day. I get smarter, I acquire more knowledge. And of course, there's also many other good intentions, not just discipline. Being there for your family, being able to take care of them, to provide them abundance, being able to retire your spouse, your parents, your family members. So there's many good benefits, and I urge you to include these with your intentions when you ask yourself, okay, why am I actually doing what I'm doing? So let me just leave you with the warning. So brother, don't wait for the pain, don't wait for the downturn to teach you. Start reflecting on what really matters now, because you're going to avoid a lot of pain in the future. And take care of yourself, brother. If you found this valuable, join the Telegram channel in the description. Click somewhere here for another video I'll probably post later.